As if they don't have too much on their plate. The Kings of Combat Sports Podcast, John and Wade. They'll talk about the things they did that day. They'll analyze the work of Vince and Triple H. Review of SmackDown. 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 Review of SmackDown.
Welcome to Review of SmackDown. I'm John Pollock along with Wai Ting.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Not a whole lot, man. SmackDown.
Yes. Good? Bad?
Yeah.
Okay. 205 Live.
Yeah.
And Talking Smack.
It's great.
So coming up this weekend, the Law will be coming at you at 11 p.m. And that's it.
Yeah, and don't forget to enter our Royal Rumble pool.
Yes, royalrumble.info.
Yep.
Very smart to do that at the beginning of the show instead of the end. Have you joined yet?
I thought this was the end.
It could be the end, but I feel the joke's run its course now. So SmackDown started with a preview for tonight's steel cage match, and I thought they did a pretty effective job of building to this main event. Throughout the show, they were always reminding you of this cage match, shots of the cage, interviews with both contestants. They had... Like, this show felt it was built around this cage match main event. And it felt like a main event by the time it started. I thought they did a very good job. Shane McMahon comes out, who just celebrated his birthday over the weekend, turning 47. And he ran through all of the different names in the Royal Rumble. And this was quite the feat, because he listed half the guys, at least, and did not get the what treatment. And he was begging for it. But this crowd in Memphis, they love Shane. He got a tremendous reaction.
Yeah, he was almost doing a roll call, and instead of saying what, the crowd was, I guess...
They were just cheering and booing.
Cheering and booing for who they liked and who they didn't.
They really booed Braun Strowman, I noted. So he then states that the WWE title is going to be defended in the Elimination Chamber, which is the next SmackDown pay-per-view, on February the 12th in Phoenix.
So there's Elimination Chamber, and then there's Fastlane as well.
Fastlane is the Raw pay-per-view. Chamber, which I understand that they only have 2 weeks in between the Rumble and the Chamber. You want to get your promotion going. But I don't like the idea of the WWE title being defended here. I'm sure they have their plans of why they have to do this. But you then had guys coming out there and making their arguments for the Chamber match as if the Royal Rumble is now an afterthought for the SmackDown guys. Because now... you have 5 other people that are all going to get title shots 2 weeks later if they lose the Rumble. And that seems tailor-made. So a lot of people will probably say, well, this is a guarantee then that a Raw guy's winning the Rumble. I think opposite, because that means this Chamber is not creating the contender for WrestleMania.
Right.
So instead, I think that would lean towards a SmackDown guy winning the Rumble. Anyway. How did you feel about this decision to have the title match headline the Chamber and announce it prior to the Rumble?
Given the time frame, I understand it. I feel like with 2 weeks' time, I feel with the Rumble coming up, you didn't necessarily need to mention it. It's not like you did much storyline development towards it. Shane just basically brought it up. And I feel like it kind of seemed a little odd, took a little focus away from the Rumble. Probably not necessary on this show.
It's you don't have that drama now. If, say, a Baron Corbin who's talking himself up for this Rumble loses the Rumble, it's like, who cares? He's probably a given to be in now. 2 weeks later, you get your title match. Anyway, that's always a problem with this February pay-per-view. And this year, they've got 2 of them. So I guess March is Fastlane. AJ comes out. He does not like this idea. Shane says, well, if you are still champion after the Rumble, this would be a problem for you because you could lose to John Cena. And Styles says that Shane should consult with him before he does something stupid. And then this crowd took over. They were chanting for AJ Styles. They were in love with this guy. And Shane just simply said, I like it. I like it. So Shane then puts over AJ, says he's one of the best. He is phenomenal, but his attitude is not. And Styles threatens to take his title back to Japan, which I don't think he could do, and never come back. Says he's never been in an Elimination Chamber match, And then John Cena comes out, and the fans are chanting back and forth for Cena and Styles. Very good atmosphere here in Memphis for these two. And Styles complains about Daniel Bryan gifting the title shot to John Cena, and now he's in a chamber match just 2 weeks after and asks why SmackDown is against him. This prompts The Miz and Maurice, who are out next, and says that the chamber is a perfect story beat for his 2017. He says he's going to beat Ambrose to win back the IC title. Then he's going to headline WrestleMania and says that he made the title, the IC title, more important than Bryan ever did or Ambrose or anyone else. And people are talking about The Miz on this show and not AJ Styles when it comes to the show's success. And Cena just tries to play, he just tries to get their tension arisen. Just trying to talk them both up here so that they come to blows eventually, and then Shane makes the match between Miz and AJ.
He was talking above each guy's shoulders.
Yeah, he was kind of annoying, but the crowd was into him.
I thought he was funny. And I think AJ, he has this thing where when he goes on these kind of heelish tirades, it's a lot more, it's not really heelish. Instead, it comes across a little bit more adorable and just cute. You know, I find him very entertaining, but I wouldn't call AJ Styles a heel that's hateable. I feel like he has some shortcomings in that area.
I think he's a very good promo, but I just feel he's fighting a wave. And he recently talked about this, the fact that he knows that the audience, they really respect him, and he has to do a better job of getting them to truly hate him. But this guy is so damn talented, and so much of your audience is aware of this fact that it's very tough. And I imagine there will come a time when they have to turn him babyface, and that may be sooner than later. Who knows?
Yeah, it's natural.
I don't think he's an awful heel by any stretch. I just think it's really tough with him. He's super talented, and the audience is aware of that. They respect this guy.
But I think it's beyond that, too. I feel like just as a natural heel, I don't find his speaking style necessarily somebody that I could hate. It's almost a little cartoonish, the way he talks. And in that sense, I would even say somebody like The Miz is a better pure heel on the microphone than AJ Styles.
Yes. I mean, there's a certain level of just dislike for The Miz, and it's difficult with the audience that the WWE is attracting now that is more aware. I don't know. I think The Miz at some point will deal with some of this too, because I think he's becoming it's balancing that how entertaining you are while still being able to get the desired reaction from your audience. So it set up the match, and before it started, after the break, Shane met Dean Ambrose in the back, and he mentioned he wants to be in the chamber match, so he's already forecasting his fate in the Rumble, and wants a new physical belt because this one smells like cocoa butter, spray tan, and hair gel from The Miz, and is, quote, sticky. And Shane says there's only one title and mentions the Wyatts. Dean has a problem with them from the attack a few weeks ago, and a match is set up between Dean Ambrose and Randy Orton for later tonight.
I thought he was going to allude to a new belt design for the IC title.
Can you imagine the design they will come up with for Dean Ambrose?
Oh, man.
I feel it would be awful.
Yeah, maybe.
Like maybe it's shattered like the hardcore title, or it's spelt wrong or upside down. Who knows?
Upside down.
Just for whatever. He's crazy. Okay?
Oh.
He's crazy. AJ Styles and The Miz, non-title match. They brought up the fact that the last time SmackDown was in Memphis, these two had a singles match, which was back in February of last year. John Cena was on commentary, and when he's asked about being a part-timer, he corrects JBL and says he's an all-timer, and mentioning that all the different things he does, and works in a plug for Surf's Up 2, and specifically Michael Cole's performance that could be award-winning in this WWE film coming up. Styles came off the ropes and went for a calf crusher, which Miz quickly got to the ropes. Styles was distracted on the edge of the apron by Maurice and then got knocked off by Miz with a running boot. They went through a break. Miz came off the top. Styles caught him in the gut, went for the Styles Clash, which was blocked. And then as the referee was in the way of both, he missed as Miz thumbed AJ in the eye. So AJ really played default babyface in this match to the Miz. Miz got sent to the edge of the apron. He hit a Pele kick and then drove a knee to the face of the Miz on the floor. And then the tried and true spot when there is a guest commentator, Styles grabbed the Miz, threw him at John Cena, who stopped the Miz, and he himself tossed Miz into the barricade. Styles attacked Cena. The bell was rung, so no contest. And into the ring they go. Miz takes an AA. Cena sidesteps a phenomenal forearm, and then he hits the AA to AJ Styles and then hoists up the title.
Yeah, I never thought the match really got going. I thought it was just an excuse to give AJ and Cena some physicality. I wouldn't necessarily say it was all that satisfying of a match or even an important segment.
It felt like shoehorning the Miz onto the show in a position where you left the audience even more conflicted about AJ, who needs to be the top heel against John Cena. I just don't know why it had to be the Miz in this spot, unless they didn't like.
What's his program?
Who? The Miz?
Yeah.
I guess Dean Ambrose, because it was brought up here. Though there was nothing in the direction of the Renee stuff or anything beyond Miz stating he's going to win the IC title back from Ambrose, which is a feud that I've kind of had my fill of at this point.
Yeah.
And it feels like both are just going to be in the Rumble, and both could end up being in that chamber match afterwards. So then, mark this down on your calendars, everyone. Thursday at noon Eastern Time, RyanSeacrest.com will have the premiere of Sophia Grace's new music video, Hollywood, which will feature the Bella Twins, Lana, Sasha Banks, and Naomi. Sophia Grace being the singer that was on SmackDown a month ago cheering up Nikki Bella, who was down in the dumps.
I remember her.
Everyone, I guess, remembers Sophia Grace.
YouTube girl.
And she will have her new video out Thursday. This would have been all worth it if Lana was joined by Rusev in this video.
Ooh. If Rusev was singing, how about that?
Oh, man. That would be my new moment of the year.
He's apparently a big country fan.
Well, yeah, he lives in Nashville. So Nikki Bella comes out, and she calls out Natalya and says that she is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be at stabbing people in the back. And Natalya shows up in the crowd with a microphone and then throws to the Titantron. And we come back, and Natalya has made her way out to the concession area, and she spots all the merchandise, including Nikki's, which she calls great product placement, being put right next to John Cena's merchandise. And even her ex-uncle, Brett, has a T-shirt and says that Nikki and Brett will both die alone.
Wow.
I feel Brett received a ton of collateral damage in this promo.
Well,
all for posting that photo with Nikki.
I know. She denounced him.
Man, Natalya is just all in on the shots to Brett. Demands her own merchandise and then grabs all these shirts and other merch and tosses it into the trash. And then Nikki shows up, tackles her, and they go through a table. They're brawling on the floor. All these fans are standing around them. An official tries to stop them, and Nikki slaps the official, and they are finally separated. And there is a lot of dissenting views on this. I'm enjoying this feud a lot. I think this is some of Natalya's best work.
Sure.
During her time here. I like this feud. Am I alone here?
I like the feud. I thought the segment felt really forced, you know? Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of this segment.
Well, I thought it was fine. Throughout the show.
Good for you, then.
Whoa, man. I'm sorry. I'll be more negative. Everything sucks. Dasha interviewed Alexa Bliss and asks if she is afraid. More wonderful questions. And Alexa called Becky a human Chucky doll, which was an actual WCW angle in 1998 with Rick Steiner dealing with Chucky, the doll.
Really? Wow.
and says that the look on Becky's face tonight will be one that no one will ever forget. And we go back to the announcers. The highlight being this older gentleman behind them in this sleeveless shirt, flexing with a Thor logo with hammer on his as a tattoo.
What?
You have to see this. I tweeted out the photo.
Oh,
this
okay.
dude who just started flexing, and he had a Thor tattoo.
Oh.
Yeah. They replayed the Kurt Angle Hall of Fame announcement video. And then there was a recap of the Wyatts attacking Dean Ambrose last month and laying him out with the RKO. JBL says it's the first Ambrose and Orton match in 2 years. I was glad that they called this back because this was a random attack a number of weeks back, and this was when Ambrose was in his feud with The Miz. So I was glad that this wasn't just dropped and never acknowledged again. Dean Ambrose took on Randy Orton, non-title match. I was actually looking forward to this. This match went very long. Orton took control and was in control for quite a while. They go to the floor. Ambrose spun, clotheslined Orton, and then he's focused on Bray and Harper, and that allows him to get shoved into the steps by Orton, or into the post. Ambrose did his slingshot off the ropes in the ring into a power slam. Crowd was very silent throughout this. There was a Dirty Deeds and RKO attempt by each. Lunatic Lariat hit by Ambrose. He got a 2 count. And then Orton goes to the floor. Ambrose hit a suicide dive onto Harper. And then he goes to get back into the ring, right into a draping DDT. And as Orton is setting up for the RKO, Luke Harper goes to interfere, and Randy stops to go and prevent Harper from getting involved. And then Ambrose rolls up Orton for the schoolboy and wins the match. Another loss for Randy Orton.
I thought the match was fine. I've kind of found the Harper distraction a little predictable and lazy.
There was no need for it. Randy was right about to finish this guy.
Well, it was because Ambrose attacked Harper on the outside, and so Harper, in retaliation, just ran in. But I feel like, they could have tried a little harder.
Yeah, this match, to me, it just kind of didn't go to the next gear for me. I was just kind of underwhelmed with it, considering who was in it. The Wyatts argued afterwards. Orton and Harper come to blows, and Bray gets in between them, stops, and this leads to a spot where Harper tries to charge at Randy, and Bray strikes Harper in the face, and Bray then challenges Orton if he wants to attack him. The crowd was chanting RKO very loudly, and then Harper left.
Yeah, the crowd really wants Orton to be the babyface here. But I'm not necessarily getting that sense from the way this is being booked. I almost feel like Luke Harper is the one being positioned as the babyface. He's not necessarily doing anything wrong, Luke Harper. In fact, to me, it seems like it's Luke Harper fighting against these two main eventers, trying to struggle and get out of the group that way. But the crowd really wants Orton to be that guy.
Then Dasha was with Becky and says she has never run from a fight in her life, and we'll see what type of person Alexa is tonight because she will not be the champion. And then we go to the King's Court segment with the returning Jerry Lawler in Memphis and wearing his classic King outfit. Mm-hmm. It's quite the visual. And he got a standing ovation here and really got the crowd going here, and just got a Memphis plug in there as the crowd popped. And then he brought out his guest, Dolph Ziggler. And Ziggler is playing the silent role here. He won't say anything when Lawler asks him questions. He says that Ziggler is a good person, but that is faded worse than the bleach in his hair. Lawler thinks he's frustrated, and the new attitude is going to somehow lead to him winning more matches. And they show the chair attack on Kalisto and Apollo from last week. And Ziggler is tired of this. He goes to leave, and Lawler says that an oil painting would have been a better interview. And Ziggler says that he didn't want to come out here and play Jerry's game and make him look bad. So he brought his own footage. And I think everyone in their head knew where they were going. And I was thinking, please don't do this. Please don't do this. And they showed the elbow drops that Dolph Ziggler delivered to Jerry Lawler back in September of 2012, right before Lawler's cardiac arrest at ringside in Montreal at the Bell Center, and says that he should blame Ziggler for it. And Ziggler says, I'll finish what I started 4 years ago if you continue to push me. So Lawler asks how it feels that no matter how many times you change your attitude, you're still a loser. So then Ziggler steps back and super kicks him in the chest, leading to Jerry grabbing his chest as JBL stumbles into the ring to check on his friend, and Lawler gets up and yells that if he has any guts to get back in the ring, but Ziggler does not, and he proceeds to leave.
Yeah, I quite enjoy this. I like this a lot. I like that. I mean, the whole footage thing, it's cheap, but we're talking Jerry Lawler, old school Memphis. So I had no issues with it. I'm sure he didn't. I like Dolph's new heel promo style. I wonder what his influence is, but I like it a lot. I like it whenever somebody uses a turn to refresh everything about themselves, including the promo and in-ring style. And I think Dolph is a lot fresher now. I think the thing he needs to update next is his look. I feel like his look is a little, it needs to be indicative of, his new change in attitude. I like the kick in the chest. I thought that was a nice touch.
That was the part I didn't like.
Why?
I just thought it was really... I hate the idea of teasing that a guy who is about to have a heart attack in the ring. I don't know. I didn't like the kick in the chest. I think it was unnecessary for this.
I thought it was great. And it looks like they're teasing a match.
No, they're not doing a match.
That looks like the tease, though.
Wow. They specifically have not allowed Jerry Lawler to do a match since this happened in 2012. So I don't think this is going anywhere.
So why do this then?
Heat on Ziggler.
Why get Lawler to come up and tell him to come back to the ring?
I just think they wanted to have Jerry Lawler have his comeback here, and I think it was specifically done because had they ended the segment with him grabbing his chest, I think this would have been received even worse. That this guy,
but you don't have the old guy essentially challenging the heel to come back and fight.
It would just take a reverse. Like the WWE has been pretty adamant about not allowing him to wrestle because Lawler has still gone out and done independent shows, and he says he is fine to do a match, but they have not allowed him to do anything.
I don't doubt it. It just seems like this was really hinting that Lawler and Ziggler were going to have some type of physical confrontation.
Yeah, that tease was certainly there. This just brought back to me when they did this with Fritz Von Erich in World Class, teasing a heart attack. They did it with Ric Flair in WCW. I just feel I wasn't cool with it. I just didn't enjoy the tease of this guy having a heart issue and playing off of that. I was actually the elbow drops. I think you could have achieved all of this by just showing the video, and yeah. I don't know. Just didn't. The super kick didn't work for me myself. But nonetheless, I think Ziggler, by the end of this segment, you felt he was fully turned at this point, whereas he was kind of in between the last couple of weeks. This was a solidified heel turn for Ziggler.
Yeah, I feel like it was pretty solid after last week.
Yeah, hard to sympathize with a guy trying to kill a man in his hometown in the ring. So. What do you think they do with Ziggler's look? What would be your ideal look for this guy?
I don't know.
Remember when
it's up to him.
Remember when they changed his hair to be his natural hair color, and he had zero personality with this hair change. He looked so generic.
Yeah, that was like a week. Lasted a week.
Yeah, because it was weak.
Yeah,
maybe he gets rid of the bleach though. Maybe black hair Ziggler.
Well, that's all up to him. Whatever he's comfortable with.
Tom Phillips transitions from this to throw to a clip of the new XXX movie. And from Lita, we got our feature of classic Shane McMahon clips to emphasize the extreme.
Yeah, he's a risk taker.
He's the Vin Diesel of the WWE. He lives for this shit. JBL says he has zero respect for Dolph Ziggler after the commercial break. And Otunga just makes a joke here saying JBL looked clumsy trying to get into the ring as he tripped over the cable. I think for a serious angle like this, we didn't need Otunga's joke here.
Yeah, probably not.
JBL was like very serious here, and you can tell when it's serious when they have like the pseudo heel announcer sympathize with the babyface. Then Bray is on the screen. He says A family divided is no family at all, and therefore next week Orton will face Luke Harper. One will stand, one will fall, but they will be stronger than ever as a result. So that is our singles match for next week. And that takes us to the main event, steel cage match for the women's title between Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch. Morrow mentions other famous cage matches in the history of the WWE, specifically mentioning Jimmy Snuka and Don Morocco. And this was noteworthy because it was the only mention of Jimmy Snuka on this show. Did you find that interesting that the video did not air on SmackDown?
Yeah, kind of. I'm sure they're reacting to all the criticism that they faced.
It was like they replayed the Kurt Angle Hall of Fame video, and I thought the fact they aired it on Raw, like that is what they typically do. They run it on all their shows, a tribute video like that, and it was very noteworthy that it didn't air Tuesday. I just want to know what that meeting was like where they made a decision, guys, because of all this controversy, let's not go with the Jimmy Snuka video, and let's move on to our heart attack angle.
What's one have to do with the other?
I mean, why would you not run the Jimmy Snuka show video on Tuesday?
Because he killed somebody.
So we're then going to move into a storyline where we're going to essentially say Dolph Ziggler almost killed this guy for heat. Are they completely different?
Completely different.
Anyway, Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch. They fought on the top rope. Both fall off, drop to the mat as they go to the break. Becky hits a missile drop kick and then climbs the cage, and Bliss then climbs to stop her and leads to a Beck-sploder off the turnbuckle and gets a 2 count. Becky then goes for the door as Luchadora appears, blocking the exit, and Becky brings Alexa back into the middle, applies the disarmer when La Luchadora comes in, breaks it up with a spin kick, and then Alexa delivers a DDT, pinning Becky Lynch, and we cut to a fan just shaking her head with this reaction shot, and then they attack Becky 2-on-1. Becky tries to fight back, and in doing so, unmasks La Luchadora to reveal Mickie James, and then Bliss attacks Becky from behind, who is stunned. So the look on her face was one we had never seen before. And Mickie kicks her in the face, raises Alexa's arm, and then we end the show with Alexis and the former Alexis Lurie with Alexa Bliss. The double Alexa/Alexis. Sounded better in my head. Anyway, I thought the match was it was kind of average. I didn't really get into the match all that much, and it was for the post-match angle where you finally got the reveal, and yeah.
I thought it was a good match for these two from, what the standard that they've kind of set as. It wasn't at the level of a Charlotte-Sasha match.
This was better than their TLC match, the tables match.
Yeah. So, it was a decent main event. I thought the angle itself I enjoyed with La Luchadora. I think it's been well done, and I thought the payoff was worthy here. I think Mickie would have been a welcome addition on either brand, but I don't mind her on SmackDown. I think she can feud with Becky. I think hopefully it seems like they're going to pair her with Alexa, and maybe she can kind of play a second to Alexa, which seems a little odd, but I feel like, somebody like in the role of Mickie James is probably hired to elevate your younger talent, much like your Rhinos and whoever. So I'm interested to see how she'll be integrated into their storylines. Yeah,
it takes Becky out of the title picture, which they should get a new challenger in there.
They need babyfaces though on SmackDown.
They do, yeah. I don't know if Nikki is going to be that babyface.
Who else?
Naomi comes back.
She's not ready for that.
Not a ton of options. You're right. But also down the line, you could do kind of Mickey's in this mentor role, and at some point you babyface her to challenge Bliss.
Yeah.
So, Talking Smack was next with Renee Young and the returning Shane McMahon.
Yeah, no Daniel Bryan this week. Not even on TV.
Do you think this is a permanent change?
I don't think so.
I'm wondering if this is designed that, like, after that Miz angle got over so well with Daniel Bryan, I wonder if Shane is here on this show, that it's leading to an angle being shot on Talking Smack with Shane.
With who? And AJ?
With AJ. That's certainly the direction they are teasing. And I'm just wondering if he's there for a reason, because it seems like it's a lesser show with Shane. Can we agree on that than Daniel Bryan?
Yeah, but it seems like this week, I mean, Daniel Bryan had no presence even on the body of SmackDown. So I imagine this week was him actually not being there. And the fact that Shane made mention that he wasn't back because of popular demand tells me that he's aware, and I'm sure that everybody producing is aware, that Shane is not the first choice for this role.
So they go over Shane's birthday. He went snowboarding, and Renee brings in a cupcake for him, and he starts eating it. And Renee is so energetic, asking questions about his birthday. Shane had zero enthusiasm, like just none, about his birthday. It's like, I went snowboarding. I just explained what I did on my birthday. What did you get? Well, I was with my family. That was enough.
No, he doesn't seem to be the type who likes talking about his personal life on TV.
No, he doesn't. I guess not. Jerry Lawler is the first guest, to which Shane, Mr. Subtlety, says, "You almost died on SmackDown." And Lawler says it was the first time that he was face-to-face with Ziggler since 2012. Is that possible at all? How could he have not been face-to-face with this guy? He had been ringside for this guy's matches for years since.
Maybe it wasn't face-to-face.
I guess they have not technically been in a ring together.
On TV.
Anyway. He clarified here the fact he did not have a heart attack in 2012. He went into cardiac arrest. And Dr. Lawler explained the differences between cardiac arrest and a heart attack, and recites the survival statistics and how lucky he was to have survived that, and went 22 minutes without his heart beating, and believes that Ziggler's elbows knocked his heart off rhythm, and he's had zero problems since then. And then he's asked about calling Ziggler a loser, and said part of that was the heat of the moment, and that he has been on a losing streak. And Shane apologizes profusely for what happened on SmackDown. I guess, would Shane be liable if there had been further damage?
Oh, I'm sure they all signed.
I mean, in storyline. What, do you sign a waiver?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
You're open to kicks to the chest.
Part of a Legends deal. Yeah, I found this to kind of be Lawler trying to tell the audience that he's okay and that he's ready.
He was pleading his case. I can do a match.
Yeah, I haven't had an issue since. But I really enjoyed hearing Jerry Lawler talk about Dolph Ziggler in storyline. And, you know, to get to, like we've talked about how great Talking Smack is to allow your current roster to just go out there and improvise in character. But here you have Jerry Lawler, who is one of the best to ever do that. So it was great to see a legend come in here in this forum and get to exercise that skill.
Left to his own devices, Jerry Lawler is one of the great promos, interviews ever. And I feel we got some of that tonight. I mean, more so, you know, even on the King's Court segment, it felt like he was very much hands-on. It wasn't just a very scripted segment. He was given some latitude in the segment, and that's where he shines.
Yeah, and it was a total babyface Jerry Lawler. I think what I would have really loved to see was, I mean, because it looked like Raw from the 90s, you know, the King's Court segments with him and Bret Hart. I really would like to still see that heel Jerry Lawler, but I'm not even sure if he's capable of that anymore.
So then they announced that Lawler will be part of the pre-show panel at the Royal Rumble with Booker T and Renee, and will call the Royal Rumble match with Michael Cole and Corey Graves, as Lawler says that it will be great to call the 30th Royal Rumble. And, so he'll be part of the Rumble, and it looks like the Raw team will call the Raw matches prior. The SmackDown team will call the SmackDown matches on the pay-per-view. And then you'll have Cole, Graves, and Lawler for the actual Rumble match, which presumably ends the show.
Yeah. What do you think is the deal there? Why did they decide to add him?
I feel this was more like this guy totally got just tossed to the side. I think this was throwing the guy something, because look at what they've done with him. First, it was the move from Raw to SmackDown. Okay, whatever. Then it was, we're taking you off SmackDown. You're on the pre-show panel. Then we're removing you from the pre-show panel. It just seemed that, man, this guy just can't. I mean, he's more than qualified for these roles. And especially, I feel a lot of people thought he was so re-energized on SmackDown over the past year, and it was these continual demotions that they're throwing him something here at the Rumble. And I don't know if this is a sign of him moving back into any regularity. I'd also be curious if they continue with the pre-show panel, like they used Peter Rosenberg in December, they used Sam Roberts. I wonder if that fourth seat will be like an outside media person, or if they're going to maybe bring Lawler back into the pre-show panels. And maybe this is an experiment. Who knows? But then the giant news, Way, as he plugs Jerry Lawler's Bar and Grill, mentions their specialty. Not just ribs. Deep fried ribs. I don't know when the next UFC event will be in Memphis. I don't know if WrestleMania will ever go to Memphis, but I will be going to Memphis at some point. Wow, this is the new must-try on the rib list for me.
Deep fried ribs?
I've got to try it.
Okay.
I must.
Sure.
This is why you just shake your head at this, because
I'll try it.
Because you are a functioning athlete, and me.
Oh, man.
This is why I only last an hour. Deep fried ribs. This is my favorite part of this whole Talking Smack, Way. Would you not try deep fried ribs?
Yeah, I said I would.
All right. Well, you let me know when we're going to go to Memphis.
Okay.
Shane then discusses Kurt Angle going into the Hall of Fame. And then Baron Corbin, a very jovial Baron Corbin at the start of this. He seemed very happy that Shane was there. Shook his hand. Shane then eases up on Renee, who immediately goes into asking him about this setback to his career after losing to John Cena. And Shane is saying, listen, you ease into those tough questions. Fucking Howard Cosell here, Shane McMahon. And then Renee's explaining, we don't have a lot of time here. We got to get to the meat. Baron says that Cena got lucky and didn't use either the Deep Six or the End of Days on John Cena last week, which, A, was the same story of Kenny Omega against Okada, not using the One-Winged Angel, and second, when AJ Styles corrected Morrow that it wasn't the Deep Six, it was a side slam, that was part of the story of the match. So that was a really important correction.
Yeah, definitely.
And I thought this was a nice little thread. The fact that Baron never used any of his key spots on Cena and then came up short. I thought this was a nice little detail that was put in there to this match.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think I especially loved when Corbin talks about how in football, of which he was, I guess, a former player, professional player. He says in football, not every team wins every single game, and you don't have to win every single game in order to be a Super Bowl champion by the end of the season. So using that logic, I thought it helped save face a lot.
He says for the Royal Rumble, he puts himself alongside Lesnar, Goldberg, and The Undertaker. Says Lesnar and Goldberg will take care of each other. The Undertaker has dug 29 holes, and that's good because the world needs ditch diggers. Mm-hmm. One of his finest lines.
Great.
And Shane puts over just all the potential in the world that Baron has, and if he can come through and realize all of it. And Baron ends by saying that if he didn't believe he is the best, then he should go home. Fans tell him he's no good, but they bought a ticket and their money is in his pocket. He's going to win the Royal Rumble. Then he's going to go and win the Elimination Chamber to become WWE Champion. And his plan for WrestleMania is to walk out to the ring as champion and the number one contender, hold the title up, and simply tell the audience, I told you so, and then go home and have a good night in Orlando. And ends it by taking a knock at the fans as Shane defended the fans, stating that they pay the bills. And Baron says, I enjoy their money. It does a lot of good things for me. And says the respect of the fans doesn't do anything for him. And ends by stating that he always enjoys coming on here. I thought this was hands down Corbin's best appearance on Talking Smack. Dare I say, the best segment I have ever seen with Baron Corbin. I thought he was great here.
I agree.
This might have been the highlight of all Tuesday night viewing for me. Baron Corbin.
Yeah, I thought he was excellent. He continues to impress in this environment. You can see why they're so high up on him, because he exudes great confidence, and he's tall.
Just has to work on that skullet.
He's doing a pretty good job. He needs to lose more. He needs to lose more off the top, I'd say.
Perhaps. This also emphasized the value of when there's a big loss, having a segment like this to talk and give yourself an out. And I thought this, like, I really don't feel that Cena loss was like this idea of it kills his momentum. I thought, this was...
Well, it depends how many people saw this, though.
He lost to the big guy that's going into the title match. And
the vast majority of people probably who are watching SmackDown are
not seeing this.
Yeah.
That's fair. And then the final guest was Bray Wyatt on his own, who's got a lot on his mind, even though this was about 2 minutes. And Renee asks about why they're making this match with Randy Orton and Luke Harper. And this was awesome. Bray says, well, you must not have a brother or a sister. And Renee says, I have a brother. And he just continues and says, when brothers have conflict, they must settle it. And they will settle it next week. He discusses the Rumble. He's been in them before. Baron Corbin has not done anything. And there is no one who has a better chance to win the Rumble than the Wyatts if they are on the same page. And he says that when I say we will win, I will win. And he left. What did you think of Bray being used on Talking Smack in the traditional environment?
It was interesting to see him in this setting. And I thought it worked. I thought it was short and sweet. I didn't think his gimmick was exposed, nor did it seem too out of place. In fact, I liked it because I feel like it opens Bray up to doing more interviews, not just talking by himself into a camera in that dark room that I feel is kind of run its course. I feel Bray in a regular setting helps him, helps make his promos a bit more relatable. I liked it. I'd like to see more.
So that ended the show with Renee and Shane, and our final stop is 205 Live. And it started with a video promoting the I Forfeit match, and maybe I haven't noticed it in other weeks, but there was a giant opening pyro for this show. I don't know if they do this every week, but it was noticeable this week for me.
I think so.
Anyway. Aries predicts that Daivari has the advantage in tonight's match. Morrow asks why. Aries says, because I say so. And Morrow responds that that's analysis you can't get anywhere else. Drew Gulak took on Cedric Alexander, but before the match, Alicia Fox came out during Alexander's entrance, and Alexander had this confused look on his face and wanted her to leave. And she's yelling at him. He ignores her. Then Noam Dar comes down, and she complains that he's being mean. And then she goes on stating that she destroys men like Cedric. He's a rookie in her book, and no one breaks up with her. I am hot chocolate. Dar then charges to the ring, and him and Gulak double-team Alexander. He fights back, takes out both of the suicide dive as officials come down, and then Gulak comes from behind and chop blocks him in the knee, and Dar leaves with Fox as she is screaming. I will say this. Alicia Fox is so irritating. Noam Dar will be a babyface in seconds, playing off of this woman, I feel.
He'll be a babyface.
I feel this audience will just so gravitate to Noam Dar, who is, to me, the sane one here between him and Alicia.
I think it'll help Dar as a heel.
I don't know.
I thought
you almost feel bad for this guy.
I don't feel bad for Noam Dar.
Well, I guess he is.
I think it'll babyface Cedric. It already has been. I thought this was actually a really good setup. It's not your typical indie wrestling storyline, but in the end, I feel like these types of storylines are the types of storylines that a WWE audience seems to gravitate towards, and you can't argue that it didn't create sympathy for Cedric leading into the match. So I thought it was good, and Alicia, like I said on Raw, review of Raw, she is like really strange, but she's got something that I think is somewhat fun to watch, and at least on 205 Live seems to be one of the only personalities to stand out.
Yes. Do you think we will get a hot chocolate T-shirt?
No.
Okay. Alexander will not forfeit the match because We already have that stipulation coming up later. And wants the match to begin. And Charles Robinson, I think, showed very poor judgment and allowed the match to begin with this incapacitated opponent in Cedric Alexander. So Gulak goes after the injured left knee, and that was the focus of the entire match. Alexander threw a drop kick. He's in constant pain. There was a dragon screw leg whip through the ropes, and it was obvious that Gulak was going for the right leg, and I think Cedric had to tell him other leg, and then he switched and hit it to the left leg. And I don't know about you, Alexander's selling, it was almost too much here. He was screaming in such agony.
I don't think it was too much.
Like, he seemed like he was near death from this knee injury. Alexander hit a head scissors out of the corner and then back body dropped Gulak to the floor. Then Gulak returned, ran into a spinning elbow. Then Alexander went for a split-legged moonsault, which was not good for the knee. And then Austin Aries pointed out that he could win without any legs. And I want to do this test on you, okay? I want you to picture Austin Aries with no legs. Okay?
Yeah.
He shaves. He's shaven.
Yeah.
But lets his hair grow out, and he is seated.
Okay.
What comes to mind? Austin Aries without facial hair. His regular hair has grown out, and he's got no legs.
I don't know, like a fucking tree. I don't know what you're getting at.
I feel he could be a just total replica of Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump without legs.
What?
This is where my mind wandered during this match, Way. This is what I think about as I'm in the final hour of 205 Live.
Okay.
The ending of this, Drew Gulak hits another chop block, but he delivers it to the right knee, which is the good one that Morrow notes, and then finally hits a belly-to-back suplex for the win at 5:45. And after the match, Cedric is tending to the left knee. So I'm thinking the final chop block was a mistake to the good knee.
Oh, yeah. Could be. I didn't even notice.
Well,
which leg? That's good attention to detail.
Well, Morrow pointed it out, too. Anyway.
Yeah, I enjoyed Gulak and Cedric here. I thought all that Alicia stuff set the stage for the match, and these guys obviously have no issues in ring, other than probably fucking up different legs, apparently. But I thought the audience seemed to care a little bit more about this match than usual. So all that sports entertainment stuff I thought was helpful.
Even if it was a mistake, I mean, it's still logical that this guy's left knee is gone. So fuck up the other one, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not a big hiccup, even if it was not the expected idea. Alicia Fox and Noam Dar were in the locker room. Dar says he did that for Alicia Fox, who slaps him and leaves.
Yeah, they're interesting. They're an interesting couple. They're this what do you call that?
A couple?
No. Like what's a guy that likes to get beat on?
Oh, like he's into like S&M? Is that where you're going?
I guess something like that. So they're that type of couple, and yeah, it's interesting. It's I mean I'm higher up on this whole thing than previous weeks. I feel like it's starting to hit its stride of where it's supposed to land, and I feel like all the pieces are starting to move into place. You know, Cedric is, I think, gaining a bit as a babyface coming out of this, and Alicia is definitely using her abilities to the best of their advantage, and her being paired with Dar in this type of storyline is interesting.
Up next was a video feature on Neville and Rich Swann ahead of their Royal Rumble title match. And there were sit-downs with both guys. Neville says he was impressed with Swann because of his talent. His bone of contention is that Swann is not at his level. And they showed photos of the two together on the road from years gone by. Neville took him under his wing. There was a shot of Rich Swann's family, including his late mother. Neville could not accept Swann coming in and all the success he has had, and Swann feels betrayed and that this is heartbreaking. Swann says that when Neville first came to the WWE, he was a hero. And we cut to Neville, who says, "There are no heroes. The monsters win." Neville's finest line. I love this line.
Cool.
It was great. I like this feature a lot. Added some depth to this story, and even more great stuff from Neville. And I thought Swan was good during this as well for his part. Dasha interviewed Tony Nese. He's asked about his strategy, and he states that's a fair question. He says he doesn't have to train differently to be better, and he speaks in the third person as the premier athlete and says there are thousands in this arena, but only one premier athlete. And he took on Mustafa Ali, as Corey Graves mentioned that both are looking to improve their spots in the rankings of this division. Do you think rankings could work in this?
Well, I think it would provide some type of structure to this division and kind of automatically give you a reason to care about every single match, which I don't think is a bad thing. The presentation of the show, I mean, I feel like at this point anything's worth a try, so why not try to devise something like that? I feel though, like I don't think the WWE really has had much of a track record for doing, like a G1 style rankings, points based type of a system. So I worry that it wouldn't really last and it wouldn't be all that well executed. I'd be interested.
The only reason I think it could, like, rankings typically have never worked all that well in various environments in pro wrestling. I mean, there are exceptions. But with 205 Live, there's so few cruiserweight matches every week that you can do a quick board every week and just explain, well, this guy beat this guy. And you're only there were 3 matches on this show. There were 2 on Raw. That's what you're talking about. You're not going to be acknowledging house show matches. It could be something that at least, like Mustafa Ali, we haven't seen in weeks. So him coming back here, you can explain where his placement is, what this match means. Put some emphasis on the wins and the losses. I don't think it's the worst idea.
I would like it, but that seems to suggest a more MMA, realistic-based type of product, which would have worked really well in the CWC, but on 205 Live, on the main roster, they've been anything but realistic with a lot of their presentation. Yeah. We're watching fucking duels.
Yeah, the rankings kind of fall apart when you're explaining the slide of Cedric Alexander because of his female issues.
Yeah.
So they had their match here. Ali forced a handshake as Nese flexed. Ali then got dropped on the turnbuckle and then draped on the top, kicks up onto his shoulders, and then in a gutbuster by Nese, he applied body scissors. Nese then did a springboard into the ring, missing with a quebrada. Ali then landed with a head kick from the apron, rolled into this neck breaker, and then Nese caught Ali with a German suplex that sent Ali into the turnbuckle, and then hit a running knee in the corner and pinned Mustafa Ali in 6 minutes.
I thought the match was great. I think Mustafa Ali has such a great high-flying, fan-friendly style. I think he's an incredibly smooth high flyer, and I think Nese is a great heel as well. Unfortunately, crowd isn't really going to care about either of these guys unless they have some storyline to display their personalities, and so far, we really have not seen anything in terms of personality out of both of these guys. So I'd like to see them work harder to come up with some strange, weird character. Maybe Tony Nese, or maybe they could find some other diva to pair with Tony Nese or Mustafa Ali.
And that leads to a feud with his pal Drew Gulak over having a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Gulak's kind of dropped that chauvinist character.
They have. Yeah.
They provided an update on Tajiri, who is out now with a knee injury and has on Twitter announced to his 12 billion fans worldwide that he is going to work on his English and start tweeting in English during his time off.
I think that's a good gimmick. Yeah.
Akira Tozawa feature, this one featuring Apollo Crews and comments, putting over his personality and his strikes. And then the main event, Jack Gallagher and Arya Daivari in an eye forfeit match. Daivari takes William, the umbrella, and breaks it, throws it away.
Gets a very good reaction for that.
Yes. Daivari hit a backbreaker on the edge of the apron, and Morrow brings up the first I Quit match between Tully Blanchard and Magnum TA from Starrcade 85. Gallagher refuses to quit as Daivari beats him down. He's repeatedly thrown into the barricade, rakes the eyes. It's all Daivari in control and smashes Gallagher into the announcer's desk. And then Daivari has his turban brought into the ring, and ties it to the wrist of Gallagher. And there's a shot where it looks like this was not tied at all, that Gallagher just had to hold onto it to give the illusion that it was tied behind his back. And he then made his comeback, fighting off Daivari and calling him a scoundrel, headbutted him, and then broke free. Gallagher then brings out another umbrella from under the ring, which you always need a spare umbrella. You
need 2 spare umbrellas.
Yes, just keep it around for a rainy day. And they fight up the ramp to the entrance area. Daivari knocks him down again, catapults Daivari into the screen, and then starts attacking him with the umbrella. They fight back to the announcer's desk. Gallagher tells them all to move, and Daivari gets tossed onto the desk. Then Gallagher offers Daivari the chance to forfeit the match, or he will be thrashed within an inch of his life. And Daivari teases quitting, but then nails Gallagher with the microphone and applies the Cobra Clutch. And then Gallagher grabs the umbrella, breaks free of the hold, and applies a hammerlock with the umbrella into a cross-faced chicken wing. And Gallagher wins at 14 minutes and 18 seconds. And the finish did get a good reaction here from the crowd in Memphis.
Yeah, I thought the match was great. I thought it was certainly the best of their feud, and maybe one of the best on 205 Live. The crowd was really with it. Good selling from Gallagher, good spots throughout with the multiple umbrellas. I thought both Daivari and Gallagher did great jobs. To me, this felt like a blow-off, and I hope it was, because I don't know if they'll top it. I thought the match exceeded expectations, and especially for a show without Neville, Perkins, or Swan, I think this was a very good reaction for a main event.
So there you go. What did you think of the 3 different offerings as a whole?
I like 205 Live.
I thought it was a pretty good show this week.
Yeah, SmackDown was just kind of okay.
Mm-hmm. Everything's in place for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we felt.
Mm-hmm.
All right, feedback time. We start off with Mark from Vaughn. A lot of the Mania season's star power seems to be coming from Raw. Styles has worked with the top guys on SmackDown. How would you book him for Mania, and would you hate a match with Shane McMahon as much as I would? If they announced tomorrow, Way, that AJ Styles would take on Shane McMahon, your reaction would be?
Oh, disappointment. I mean, I would be interested to see how AJ would make
There's certainly a morbid
match.
curiosity to what AJ does with Shane McMahon.
Yeah, but I feel like that's something you save for a B show, you know? I'd feel so bad if I was somebody who paid hundreds of dollars to fly all the way to Orlando to go see AJ Styles at WrestleMania and to get AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. You know, I want to see AJ at his best. I want to see him reach his full potential in a match. I want to see Omega versus Okada, but with AJ Styles and somebody else. And I know I'm not going to get that with Shane McMahon, so I would be very disappointed.
What would be your ideal scenario for AJ Styles, knowing who's slotted with who is available?
Well, depending on whether or not he's the champion. I just don't know who else there is on SmackDown for him to face right now. I don't really want to see another Cena match. And if AJ stays heel, he's kind of gone through all the baby faces on SmackDown, so I would even consider taking the title off of him in order for him to do something, maybe an interpromotional match with somebody on Raw.
I feel like as we're now closer to the Rumble, there is no obvious program for Cena. I feel this could have been WrestleMania for both guys, of Cena chasing for that title. It's a big feud. You have so much backstory between the two. I think the promos have been really good between these two guys. I feel I would have held this off till WrestleMania for these two guys.
Perhaps, yeah. But then what would you have filled those months with on SmackDown?
You could have had a babyface ready for AJ Styles at this point. I mean, if this was your plan, you could have had months to get somebody ready. You could have done AJ and The Undertaker at the Rumble.
I'd be okay with that.
I think people would be way more interested in that than Undertaker in the Rumble. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we go next to...
Actually, Taker Styles at Mania, I think, would be a solid match.
There you go. Lay. All right.
Oh, is that my turn?
Oh, yeah, right. It's you.
Hey guys, I'm so proud of Alexa Bliss. I've seen her here in Florida about 10 times, and I can tell you she gives 110% effort in front of the 200 people, and it's good to see her rewarded on the main roster. She deserves it. I'm loving the Nikki Natty feud. I thought it would be cold at first, but it turned out to be one of my favorite feuds on the show. Loving what they were doing with the women's division, and it's my favorite thing on WWE personally. Glad to see the King back on WWE. He's one of the all-time greats. Optional question. What do you think of one more match between Kurt Angle and AJ Styles at WrestleMania?
I don't think we're going to see Kurt Angle at the Royal Rumble. I don't think we're going to see Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. I don't shelve the idea of another Kurt Angle match, but I don't see it happening in that time frame. But, I mean, anybody with AJ Styles, it's like if anyone is coming back, that's the guy people want to be paired with.
Yeah.
I think they all see him as the most viable opponent that will get the best out of them. And yeah, you could totally do that match, but I don't see that at WrestleMania. Next is Alexander from Portland. I'm a bit skeptical about a SmackDown Elimination Chamber. With as thin a roster as it is, I'm not sure how the rest of the pay-per-view will be fluffed up. Putting 6 of your top stars in one match leaves something else to be desired with the undercard. With how light the babyface side is, hopefully someone debuts at the Rumble for SmackDown to help fill out the card. I grew tired of Dolph's must-win shouting promos as a babyface, so this low-key style is very refreshing. Hopefully we'll see Gallagher make more gentlemanly matches such as Eternal Damnation in a metallic station or stands, steps, and stools match. Question, do you see Shane McMahon being part of the Royal Rumble? I would say no.
In the Rumble match itself or
Yeah,
running in?
In the Rumble match. If you were going to do that, I think that would have been set up in advance. I don't see them doing that on the go-home show next week to put Shane in the Rumble.
Yeah, maybe not. At least some storyline to kind of give him a reason to do it. But yeah, I don't really see it right now. Okay, we go to Tyron Woodley from Ferguson. I love the cage
These are
match.
getting lame, okay, guys? The fake names is just, come on.
How do you know it's fake?
Tyron Woodley from Ferguson.
Yeah. How do you know he's not actually listening?
Okay. And his username is Way Pollock.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Welterweight champion here, weighing in on SmackDown.
Tyron Woodley loved the cage match between Alexa and Becky, but I don't know why Becky kept getting title shots. She failed to beat the champ and felt entitled for another shot, but they delivered. Alexa should move on to bigger and better feuds that would draw way more money. I really enjoyed the match between Randy and Dean. They had good chemistry, I thought. But the finish didn't really make sense since Randy had the advantage, but it's causing dissension within the ranks of the Wyatt family, which was the purpose, I guess. Question, what do you think will happen with Naomi? She is really explosive and athletic. Maybe she is waiting it out.
Well, as we said earlier, you do need a new babyface in that role, and Naomi could find herself in that spot.
SmackDown definitely needs more babyfaces, but I don't think Naomi's ready for a title program at all. She kind of had a bit of she was a little rejuvenated with her entrance. I think her entrance is really cool, but I still feel like she's yet to really find her personality, either as a babyface or a heel. She just does not seem to have found that confidence yet this entire time. I'm sure she's working at it really hard right now, but
maybe Eva Marie comes back as a babyface.
I don't think that could. Yeah, what's up with her?
She should be ready to come back anytime.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Naomi's, I think, a big what if right now. I feel like she still needs a lot of reps, especially on the microphone. So I think you can get her back on the show and kind of get her started maybe in a smaller feud. But I wouldn't put her in the title picture.
Paul from New Jersey, I really enjoyed the opening of the show. Miz, AJ, and Cena all play off each other very well. What I don't understand is why Nikki Bella keeps getting promo time. She sounds as uncomfortable and unnatural as Roman does. Natty at the merchandise stand was pretty funny, though. Speaking of acting, what did you guys think of Dolph's new heel promo delivery? We discussed it. It was pretty good.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. We go to Chupacabra from Delaware. SmackDown. It doesn't seem like SmackDown is even being considered in the Rumble match. Raw has about 6 guys who could potentially win, but SmackDown isn't really pushing anyone except maybe Corbin. At this point, I'd be very surprised if a SmackDown guy wins. Cage match with Alexa and Becky was just okay for me, but I love seeing Mickie James back in the WWE. 205 Live. I was very impressed with the way Cedric sold the leg injury during the match with Gulak, laughed out loud when Alicia called herself hot chocolate, and I enjoyed the forfeit match more than I thought I would, so not a bad show.
Yeah, as I said, I think the Elimination Chamber mean you don't need to establish a WrestleMania contender. I think it's more the opposite, that this means a SmackDown guy would win it. Tariq from Mississauga. I really feel like Alexa Bliss should be added to the conversation of most improved, since seeing her from her forgettable days in NXT until now, she's really elevated her game and ability. After seeing Mickie James unmasked as La Luchadora was almost as great as the Black Scorpion reveal. I'm glad to see Mickie James back in the mix, and her addition will also add fresh matches. Plus, seeing Mickie James, Alexa Bliss, and Becky Lynch in the ring. Man, all right. Well, Tariq, I don't want to know about anything you have to your physical responses to these women.
Hands of trash. It's been a long time since I've been genuinely disappointed to see a feud end, but that's exactly how I felt at the end of that I Forfeit match. I really enjoyed Gallagher and Daivari, and I thank them for actually getting me invested in watching 205 Live every week.
I like how Tariq's description was about his atrial fibrillation acting up, and then someone below here defined what atrial fibrillation is and its condition of involving an irregular heart rhythm, to tie it all together with Lawler. Let us continue here. There are quite a lot here. I'm going to skip down to Tom in Stratford-upon-Avon in England. Once again, SmackDown Live was the standout show for this week. They may not have the star power of Raw on paper, but with the condensed time slot that SmackDown has, it certainly does not feel as if it is lacking. In 2 hours, we got Styles, Cena, Miz, Ambrose, Ziggler, Orton, and Bray Wyatt, and this show did not include the likes of Baron Corbin or American Alpha. I also think that the way talent is utilized on this show is far more effective. The likes of Miz, Baron, and Dolph would be lost in the shuffle on Raw, while on the show they are beginning to feel like they are ascending to the level of the big names. On Raw, we have the same four guys switching roles every week, interspersed with the occasional part-timer.
We get Aditya from India. I love SmackDown Live. Could we possibly see an Elimination Chamber match for the women? I know it's a long shot, but you could have Mickie, Alexa, Nikki, Natalya, Becky, and Carmella. Will Alexa Bliss get lost, as Becky versus Mickie is in the works for Mania? Who could be the other four participants other than Cena and Styles? I will put Wyatt and Corbin, so Ambrose versus Miz. Blah, blah, blah. Do you think there could ever be a women's Elimination Chamber?
There could be. Certainly. There was a good point brought up there that you do have to fill this pay-per-view and put 6 key guys in that one chamber match, which will probably get a ton of time. You're probably looking at a 35-minute match there for the chamber alone, which when you include entrances and everything, that'll take up a significant chunk of the pay-per-view. I don't know if this really necessitates a second Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah, I don't see it with the current crop of SmackDown women that you have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, these girls are good, especially Mickie. Alexa's very good. Becky's great. Natalya's great. But I just don't know. Like, I feel like the chamber still requires a certain level of physicality, and I don't know if some of these other girls are necessarily capable of delivering that type of match. If it was Charlotte, Sasha, if it was like your best women in the WWE in a match, I feel like they could pull it off, but I wouldn't say that this current crop, you have 6, people that are physical enough to pull it off.
Yes, and I mean, granted, it's only a 2-week build, but we would have to hear over and over how historic this is.
Yeah.
The first ever women's Elimination Chamber match.
No, that's enough. I
think we've had a lot of firsts.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your feedback. Thank you for listening. Wai, I want you to have a great rest of your day, great rest of the week.
Thanks.
We, myself and Wai, we won't be back until Monday with Review of Raw. But later tonight on the site, we will have British Audio Wrestling with Martin and Ollie, as they will be running through the UK tournament, as well as chatting about a number of other shows, including the recent Progress show from over the weekend, and lots of other news and notes. Then on Thursday, it's Agnew and Braden with What's Next. The MMA Report is coming out on Thursday, and then Friday, it's Keep It 2000 with Brian Mann and Nate Milton reviewing the January 17th, 2000 episode of Monday Nitro. And Sunday night, The Law. As I said, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a Royal Rumble prediction show, so lots of calls. We'll be taking predictions as well online. Any predictions you have for the Rumble. Surprise entrance, who wins, who lasts the longest. most eliminations, whatever predictions you want to make. And tentatively scheduled to be joined by Ryback on Sunday night as well, who is in town on Sunday for Destiny Wrestling, happening in Mississauga, so you can check that out. And all of our shows up at liveaudiowrestling.com. The Royal Rumble pool is up and active at royalrumble.info. You can submit all of your picks anytime between now and noon Eastern, the day of the Royal Rumble, and we will announce the winners on that week's Review of Raw coming out of the Rumble.
Yeah, and over on youtube.com/liveaudiowrestling, we'll be putting up a interview Dan recently did with Eric Bischoff that aired on The Law not too long ago, but now you get to see it in video form. This, of course, took place at the Niagara Falls Comic Convention.
Yes, a very good interview that Dan did with Eric Bischoff. So check that out. And our unboxing video from Pro Wrestling Crate.
Yeah, it's already up there from last week.
Yes, I enjoy doing these way. They're fun.
They're fun to do.
That's great. All right. What next up is the January box, correct? We just unboxed the December version.
Yes. December.
Yes, so we get these at the end of each month.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that straight. LiveAudioWrestling.com is where you can go. And that's it. Goodbye, folks.